What's up guys, Caleb here with another installment of Reality Check, and today we are talking about the Razer smartphone. This thing right here, let's jump right into it. So Razer makes a lot of really awesome products, specifically gaming peripherals, but they're now delving into the market of laptops and phones, so that's really, really cool. And now they've just made this Razer smartphone that is specifically targeted towards gamers. And this thing is a beast, you guys. Let's talk about it in a little bit more detail. So right off the bat, this thing is heavy. It's got some real weight to it. And coupled with that, it's got an aluminium unibody. So this thing is really strong. It feels like a really thin brick to me. Like, I don't know, that's just the impression that I get from it. Really, really nice. One of the nice little touches to it is that it has this really nice, slightly rounded corners, which just takes away a little bit of the sharpness from it. So I really like that. It's got two front-facing speakers over here, which takes up quite a large majority of the front of it, but we'll get to that a little bit later. It's a 5.7-inch display, so I think it's quite nice. Overall, just that sleek, minimalistic, it kind of falls in line with Razer's branding and the way they design most of their products. This is pretty much similar in that respect. Plus this little logo here, when you turn it on, it doesn't light up, never mind, we'll cut that out. So in terms of the buttons, it's got this power on button over here, which doubles as a fingerprint sensor, and it's quite nicely placed. A lot of reviews online are saying it's a two-handed phone, and I don't know if I just have big hands, but I can operate it with one hand pretty easily. It seems quite nice to me. Also, what I like about it is the buttons are rather symmetrically placed. So you'll see on the one side, it's right in the center, the power on and the fingerprint sensor button. And then over here, you've got these two volume buttons. So it's just like this nice symmetrical design that I really, really dig. Overall, 10 out of 10 for me. This is exactly the kind of phone that I would look into buying personally. But let's jump right into the display, because this is the phone's main selling feature. This thing is cool, you guys. Okay guys, the display on the Razer smartphone is everything. Now we know Razer does displays on some of the other things. Their laptop is pretty cool, and this has a quad HD, so that's 2560 by 1440 IPS panel display. Really, really tight. Awesome. So because it's an IPS panel, you're going to get a really nice wide color gamut, and it's going to have awesome viewing angles, even though that might not be an issue for you on your phone. I mean, most people just kind of do like a dead on, but if you're ever in a scenario where you're doing that, it's going to be really beneficial in that regard. It's also not an extremely bright display, but that is the nature of IPS panels, so viewing things in the daylight might be a bit of a challenge. Might have to put a bit of shade over it. Not a big deal though. It's really, really clear and really crisp. Main thing when it comes to this Razer smartphone is the 120 Hz refresh rate. Now that is incredible for a smartphone. That's actually wild. So what this 120 Hz refresh rate is going to affect is just the general usage of the phone. So you're not going to have any problems, any blurring or any lagging when you're scrolling from left to right or up or down. You'll be able to literally read text as you scroll down the screen. So it's really, really fast and really responsive. That's great. In terms of gaming, this 120 Hz refresh rate makes a huge difference. Now, obviously, that's dependent on whether or not the game itself can run at 120 Hz. But when you do have a game that's compatible with that refresh rate, it looks incredibly crisp, guys. It's so responsive, it's so fast, there's no blurring or lagging of any kind. And the really nice thing about it is that it has this adaptive refresh rate software. So if the game can only run at 60 Hz, it's not going to try and push it to 120 Hz. It automatically adapts to the native refresh rate of that game. So that's really awesome. So in order to back up this awesome display that it has, you're going to need a phone that has the proper specs to run 120 Hz refresh rate. So this thing packs a real punch. It does not let you down in that regard. It comes with the Snapdragon 835, which at the moment is one of the best processors out there. It's an octa-core that can run up to 2.4 gigahertz. So boom, you all good there. Don't even trip, dog. So we know it has the screen for games, we know it has the processing power and the specifications to run basically all of those games, but what does the sound like? These things are crazy, they're wild, they're insane. Okay, I think that's enough embarrassment. It's powered by Dolby Atmos. It's two of the exact same front-facing speakers. And these things are wild, you guys. To be honest, the science doesn't really make sense to me. I don't know how they still achieve surround sound on a phone speaker, but you get like spatial directional sound just playing a Dolby Atmos video out of this phone. That is ridiculous. Based on just the volume as well, this thing is loud. It pretty much trumps my personal laptop speakers, a lot of the other laptop speakers that I have heard. So 10 out of 10 for the Razer smartphone speakers. I just think it was a really, really clever move for them to power it with Dolby Atmos. It makes all the difference in the world. So one of the things I've read online is that people have a big problem with the lack of 3.5mm headphone jack plug-in. And Razer's reasoning for this is because they wanted to make space for the 4,000 milliamp hour battery that it has. Now what they've done to solve this problem of no headphone plug-in is that they provided you with an adapter that turns your USB-C into a DAC amp THX certified. What was it again? Now, Razer's solution to this problem is they've included a USB-C adapter which turns it into a THX certified DAC, which is awesome. It's an incredibly smart move. And what this means basically is you're going to get the best, if you have a really nice set of headphones, you're going to get the best possible audio quality that you can out of this thing. Better than any 3.5 plugin that you can find anywhere. This automatically gives you better sound quality. Where is the DAC? Where's the DAC, guys?
I don't know.
Where, can someone give me the DAC? No, not Dirk, the DAC. This is not a DAC. That was actually mine. DAC, guys, has anyone seen the DAC? Here's the DAC. So they include this with the purchase, and now this thing is really, really cool. First of all, I like the little Razer thing on it, so it just falls in line with everything else about the phone. But this is going to turn your sound quality for headphone plugins to be the best that it can possibly be. So 10 out of 10 from Razer in that regard. If Batman had a phone, it would be this phone, the Batmobile.
Never leave the cave without it.
In all the things that you need this phone to perform for, it really does. Great screen, great specs, incredible sound, but let's touch on something that they didn't do too well, that they could have put a bit more work into. The cameras. This thing is not great, guys. It's not excellent. It needs a bit of improvement, but it's not terrible. So the main camera system is a dual lens setup. They are both 12 megapixel cameras. One is f-stop 1.9 and the other one's f-stop 2.8. So it lets in a decent amount of light, but the performance of this camera isn't great. We did a couple of test shots, overlay. So you can see here that most importantly, HDR makes a huge difference. Just look at the comparison. Shameful, guys, shameful, really shameful, Razer. And now in terms of the low light performance, it also doesn't do that well. It took a little bit of time for it to focus, which I didn't really appreciate. I mean, the software and the technology is up to the point where it really shouldn't be taking that long. The point about it being is that there are better cameras out there. The front-facing cameras also average 8 megapixels, doesn't take exceptionally great photos, but if you're not a videographer, you're a gamer, and you want transportable gaming on the go, you're not going to buy this phone for its camera. You're going to buy it for everything else that it does so incredibly well at. This phone is awesome in a lot of regards. The camera notwithstanding. Personally, it's the phone that I want to buy, that I'm saving up to buy because sadly, it's not mine. But if you're not too worried about the camera, if you're not too worried about how that performs, it kills it in every other respect. And the price tag is not terrible. It is a high-end phone. Speaking of which, let me just put this in a safe spot. Money talk! At the time of this recording, this puppy, the Razer smartphone, was priced at 14,999 Rand on Zeek. So a serious 15,000 Rand. However, when you think about everything that it does with all those specs, the Snapdragon 835, 8 gigs of RAM, 64 gigabytes of storage, I said that quickly. When you think about all of that and the amazing screen, it is actually worth the price, especially when you compare it to something like the iPhone X or the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, which also comes in at about a similar price range. This thing is rad. And that pretty much wraps it up for this week's installment of Reality Check, guys. Let me know what you think about the Razer smartphone's camera in the comment section below. Is it a deal breaker? Isn't it? I want to know. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next week for another installment of Reality Check. And the screen goes off. Of course.